Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Joe's Tobacco Reviews. Today I do not have any kind of tobacco review for you. This is more of a speaking kind of thing. So I got a list of questions from a subscriber named Dedicated Smoker. Thank you for watching my videos and subscribing. And there was a list of questions. Depending on when this video goes up, there's either going to be a Q&A video before this or after it. But today, one of the questions was my smoking history, and so I'm going to make that a separate video just because it could be a little bit longer, and it would make the Q&A video pretty long, and I want to keep it spaced out, you know what I mean? I don't want videos to be too long. So, my smoking history. Well, you know, everybody in my family pretty much smokes or smoked in the past. My grandfather still smokes. My dad quit smoking 2 years ago, but he smoked for 35 years up to that point. You know, like both my grandparents smoked, and they quit in the late 90s, and my great-grandfather smoked. I remember him smoking when I was probably 3 or 4 years old. That's one of the things I remember, is going into my grandparents' house where they lived and seeing him sitting in his blue Lazy Boy and smoking a Lucky Strike. Yeah, so growing up, cigarette smoking was really part of my life day to day. Since, you know, my dad and mom both smoked. Well, smoked. They both quit. So I remember, you know, going in the car, going fishing or whatever, and my dad would always have a Marlboro Red hanging out of his mouth or in his hand. And I guess, you know, over time, when you're exposed to that kind of environment, it just makes you, you know, curious about that stuff. So the first time I ever smoked a cigarette was October of 2013. Every year, a group of my friends and their parents used to go to Wildwood, New Jersey, and usually we went, but that particular year we were pretty busy, and my dad had work. I think he was in Pittsburgh or maybe in Maryland at the time, I can't remember, and so we weren't able to go. And I remember my friends coming back from that trip, and they said, "Oh, you know, you got to try this." We were smoking these Marlboro NXT or Next, you know. They were brand new at the time. And so I thought, okay. I mean, I didn't really think that it would become any kind of part of my life. I just figured, why not? So, like a day or two after that, I was at my friend's house. His brother was probably 20 at the time, and he said, you know, oh, let's try one of those e-cigarettes, because blue e-cigarettes were like brand new. They had just come out. I remember them being on all the shelves, and nobody really used them. It was just right first when they came out, and people started getting into that kind of stuff, like vaping and stuff like that. And so we got this menthol e-cigarette, and I mean, you know, I don't know if I would ever review a blue e-cigarettes, but it was pretty bad. It wasn't terrible, but the nicotine content in them is pretty low. Even to me, who had never smoked before, I smoked it for probably 5 minutes and didn't really feel anything. So the next day, he asked his brother, he said, why don't you go down to the store and pick us up a pack of Marlboro NXT, or Next, I don't really know. It just says NXT, so, you know, probably Next, I guess. So he went down to the store and got these Next cigarettes, and my two friends and I, we went up. His house is right in front of like an old mining trail, so we walked up into the woods there, and you know, went into the woods a little bit, and each pulled out a cigarette and fired it up. They were pretty good. Yeah, I remember. I mean, they weren't the best, of course. After having so much experience with cigarettes, they're pretty bad, but at the time they were pretty decent, and until I popped the menthol bead, and I didn't really like them. I mean, the first 2 cigarettes I smoked were Marlboro NXT, and the first one I popped the bead about a quarter of the way in, and it was just disgusting. I don't, you know, they weren't like make me throw up. They didn't want to make me throw up, but it was just unpleasant to me, really. So I smoked the first one, and you know, the first time you smoke, if you've never smoked before, the nicotine really hits you hard. Even with those cigarettes, which were pretty light, I really felt it. But then I put the first one out, and I thought, well, let's try another one. So this could also be the video the first time I got nicotine poisoning, because 2 cigarettes the first time you ever smoke is it's a lot. It's a lot of nicotine at one time, and I remember feeling like my head was spinning around in circles. I had to go and lay down in my friend's house because it was just so intense of a sensation. I didn't throw up or anything, but it was pretty bad. So yeah, after that, my friend's grandmother smoked Pall Mall Red 100s. She still does, and she used to buy like she'd always have 5 or 6 packs in a refrigerator. She was one of those ladies who, you know, put cigarettes in the refrigerator so they didn't go stale, but she smoked a lot. I mean, she could have really just left them out and it wouldn't have made any difference, because she smokes about 2 packs a day even now. But I remember my friend, he used to be able to pull usually at least 1 pack of cigarettes, or 2 even, at a time, and she always had them stocked up, so we never really ran low on cigarettes, that's for sure. Probably smoked about 3 or 4 a day at that point in 2013, 14. That was just around the time that my grandfather passed away, and so, you know, it helps. I find smoking helps to really kind of reflect. When you smoke, you know, you don't even have to be doing anything. To just sit somewhere and smoke clears your mind. I mean, I know a lot of writers in the past smoked because it just helps get everything else outside of your mind, and you could just focus on one task. And I remember smoking and thinking about, you know, my grandfather, who I was very close with. And so, yeah, we smoked all kinds of cigarettes, some really, really bad ones, like we smoked Misty 120s, which are 120 millimeter ultra long cigarettes. Smoked Pall Mall 100s, occasional like Marlboro menthol stuff. My friends really like menthols, and I never really did, so the Pall Mall Red 100s are pretty good at the time. Of course, you know, really they aren't that good, and they're kind of bland. They don't really have much robustness to them. I could do a review on them in the future if you'd like. So yeah, we smoked them. We smoked Misties. I had to start ripping the filters off of the Pall Mall Red 100s and Misties because they were just so flavorless after smoking so many of them that I just needed something else. And that, I mean, you know, that might be where I get my taste for unfiltered cigarettes from, because there's just something about the really light, kind of smooth draw off of an unfiltered cigarette that I like so much. I don't like having things in between what I'm smoking and, you know, my lungs or whatever, you know. So, yeah, we smoked them all the time. And then one day, this one girl who was a senior at the time, her mother bought her cigarettes all the time. She was almost 18, but not quite old enough. And so we said, you know, can you get us each a pack of cigarettes, my friend and I? She said, sure, just give me some money. So we gave her the money. She said, what do you want? My one friend said, oh, anything menthol. Whatever. And I said, can I get a pack of Camel filters? And we used to smoke, and I think I talked about it in one video. It might have been the Camel Wides video that is going to be going up soon after, like, I record this video. So it's going to be before this video, obviously. But Camel, we used to smoke Camel Crush Bold because some of my friends liked full flavored, some liked menthol. So what we would do is we'd all go in and chip in and buy a pack of, get someone to buy a pack of Camel Bold, Crush Bold, which were a great cigarette. I mean, they're still pretty decent if they were around. I thought they were pretty good even at the time. So yeah, I really liked them. But when I had those Camel filters, I remember opening them up. I opened them up. We were down at the park by the river. It kind of sloped down, and there was a bench down there, so we'd sit down there sometimes. And I popped the cigarettes open. I put one of them Camel filters in my mouth and lit it, and something about the taste of them. It's just an amazing cigarette, even filtered, but Camel unfiltered, whew, they're worlds apart, really. I mean, in taste and, you know, strength and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember smoking them and saying, damn, these are so good. I love them. I love Camel. From that point on, I was a Camel smoker. I mean, we smoked a lot of Marlboros, but from then on, I really, really enjoyed Camel cigarettes, and I still do to this day. Eventually, we weren't that good at, you know, keeping it hidden, the fact that we smoked. I remember we built this thing up on behind this one guy's house. It was on that same mining trail that goes right across, right down by where we live, all my friends and I. We went up and we built this awesome little, like, I'd say like winter fortress. Kind of funny terms, but I mean, to a 13-year-old, I mean, that's kind of what it was like. We built a table. The table had an ashtray in the center of it. It was made out of plywood. We had 4 chairs. We got tarps and nailed them to the trees to keep the wind, the cold, probably 20-degree wind from blowing in our faces. Had a little fire pit area. We had kerosene lanterns if we were up there after dark, you know, because we get dark about 4:30. So if we were up there 5 or 6 o'clock, we'd light up the kerosene lanterns, and we'd just sit up there, and, you know, it was warm. We'd sit up there and smoke, and it's a great place to smoke. Very calm and quiet. Again, like I said, I mean, it's just perfect for kind of like self-reflection, meditation. You know, not really meditation, but you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, we were terrible, absolutely horrible at keeping the fact that we smoked hidden. And a couple of my dad's friends commented to them. They said, looks like your son's smoking. And he said, no, my son would never smoke. And he said, yeah, we saw them up on the mountain. So we got suspicious. He never found me with any cigarettes, though. I was always very clever. I used to hide them. I had a dresser. The bottom of the dresser was cut out underneath. And it had these, like, triangular kind of cutouts that came down to the legs. So I'd stick the pack behind there, and you couldn't even see them. You'd have to get down there and actually put your hand under the dresser to find them. It was pretty clever. Yeah, so the one day I came home and he said, oh, a bunch of people are telling me you're smoking. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, let me go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. Jesus, no. He found out I'm smoking. I started washing my hands. And, of course, it's very, very difficult to wash the smell of cigarette smoke out of anything. It's such a pungent odor, you know, even for people who smoke, it's still a really strong odor, even though, you know, smoking kind of decreases the sensitivity to those things, I found at least. It's like I washed my hands and came back out, and he said, let me smell your hands. And I knew that was what he was going to say, because really, I mean, if it was on your clothes or whatever, you could say, oh, we were over at, you know, blah blah restaurant and there were people smoking outside. that was a good excuse. It worked a couple times. But this time I remember I said, "Oh, no, you don't have to do that." And he said to my mom, he said, "Smell his hands." And so she comes over and she grabs my right hand. And I almost chuckled because I thought, damn, I'm getting away with this because I don't smoke with my right hand because I'm left-handed. And she smelled it and said, "No, it doesn't smell like it." And then he said, "Smell the other hand." And I thought, damn, they got me. And she smelled it and she said, "That, you know, you're smoking cigarettes." And I said, "Oh, you know, whatever, you know," and I went upstairs and he said, "Come down here." And I remember he told me, he said, you know, he said, "I can't really complain because I've been smoking for 30 years. He said, "But, you know, smoking isn't really a good thing to get into." And he said, "You know, you're not old enough, first off, to even be doing it." He said, "Now, when you turn 18, whatever you do, it doesn't matter. But until then, you know, you're not going to smoke." So, with the exception maybe 3 or 4 times between 2013 and this year, when I turned 18, I didn't smoke. I take vape hits every once in a while, but, you know, vapes aren't really as satisfying as cigarettes. I remember the one time I convinced my friend to go down to Scranton, and we bought Scranton, Pennsylvania, if you'd like to know, like, where the office is filmed. We went down there and we bought a pack of Captain Black filtered cigars, which they're really just cigarettes and brown paper. I think they were vanilla flavored or something. They were pretty good. But my one friend chain smoked like a bat out of hell, and I mean, he'd smoke 2 packs a day, even. Still, I mean, if he was doing that still, he would still be smoking 2 packs a day because he really liked it. But he moved over to vapes and stuff because it does cost a lot of money. It's a concern a lot of people have, is the cost of smoking. And so yeah, and then I turned 18 this year, if you'd believe it. I'm sure some of you are thinking I'm 30, 40 years old. Well, maybe not 40, but at least in my mid-20s. But no, I'm only 18. I've only been 18 for a couple months, to be fair. But cigarette smoking really kind of became a part of me even after I had to stop. And when I started again, I said, you know, I'm not going to do anything like anybody else has done. I'm going to actually smoke what I enjoy smoking. I don't smoke because of nicotine. You know, I think that was another question, dedicated smoker, that you asked me. I mean, you know, it's an added bonus, to be honest. But I don't smoke just because of nicotine. If I did, I'd just smoke a vape all the time because, you know, I'd eat, you know, take nicotine patches and eat nicotine gum if that's all I was concerned about. But I'm not. I really truly do love the taste of tobacco, and that's why, I mean, you know, I smoke pipes, I smoke cigars, cigarettes, anything really. I mean, like moist snuff and stuff like that, and chew, I really never got into that much. I mean, I could once in a while, but it's not really my favorite thing because how it makes your mouth feel. It makes it feel so dirty and kind of, you know, like decaying. You get sores and stuff. It's ugh. But yeah, so I started smoking. Still smoking, if you question whether I am. Of course, I actually picked up a Soren Air vape because the cost of smoking is so much, even here in Oklahoma where I'm at college. It's not really feasible to smoke, you know, in the quantity that I do, because at my normal rate I smoke about a pack a day. That's, you know, 7 packs a week, and a pack costs anywhere from $7 to $10 here, so looking at like $70 a week when I'm actually smoking something that I enjoy, like Camel Unfiltered, and it just costs too much money, you know. So I'm gonna continue smoking. I don't see any stop completely, but I definitely want to kind of rein it in a little bit, because I do enjoy cigarettes, but you know, when you smoke that much, like a pack a day about, you start to feel it. Even after a couple weeks of doing that, I started to, you know, cough all the time and feel congested, you know. So I do enjoy smoking, and there's not much else to say, really. That's my history to right now. Maybe in the future we'll have more content to discuss about, but until then, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, remember to rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.